Everyone just talking like Heather is the most dangerous person out there. I'll believe it when I see it. Heather's gonna have to be responsible for someone dying. Fingers crossed it's Tomas for some reason. Or Ashley. Or Vanessa. What is up, everybody? I'm here for a very quick review of today's episode of Beyond the Gates. As we have started another week of the show, although I do fear it is overall going to be quite a boring week. I did a lot of fast forwarding today. Maybe the most I've ever done with this show. Because I'm going to be honest, outside of anything Andre, Dani, Haley, Bill related, everything else is pretty fast forward worthy at the moment until they can try and juice up some of these other stories. But we started with Andre and Heather in the room that Andre found Heather in. He says it's good to see her. It's been a minute. He asked her what brought her to the DMV because she used to avoid this place. She had a quip back saying she remembers that he used to avoid things too. She talked about sending the champagne, and she said that now he can thank her properly and in person while rubbing her hand all up on his body and his face. Heather wants to talk about the woman who stole Andre's heart. Andre talks about Dani a little bit, saying that Dani is amazing, and Heather plays it off like she doesn't know Dani or who Dani is, saying that she is a fashion model or something. Now, we of course know that Heather has met Dani and that she's going to continue to probably get close to Dani while keeping it a secret from both Andre and Dani that she knows the other. Heather said that she never pegged Andre as the marrying type. He says you meet the right person and things fall into place. She wonders if he is just saying that because he knows he rushed into something and that he used to never even be able to commit to a dinner reservation. We've never actually seen this player side of Andre. We've only ever heard about it, but this show does love to tell us instead of show us. She talked about her brother that Andre never knew about. He didn't know that she had a brother. She mentioned how he owns the casino, and Andre realizes that her brother is Joey Armstrong. Heather says that she and Andre used to enjoy each other, says that Joey doesn't know anything about her personal life, so don't worry, because Andre doesn't want this to get too complicated, and Andre thinks that Heather's just going to be heading back to Europe, so this is going to be the only time he sees her. But before he goes, Heather kisses him, and he says this can't happen. She says he won't see her before she heads back to Europe and leaves saying goodbye. And to herself, Heather says goodbye for now. So Andre and Heather used to be lovers. This is as basic as I thought it would be. And I don't like it because I do think it's just an excuse for the writers. Some sort of easy way out for the way Dani is now acting with Bill after having sex in an elevator. If they're going to have Heather continue to get close to Andre, that's going to suck. I don't like the direction they have taken certain storylines. I don't like the direction for Deanna in the Joey and Vanessa storyline. I think they could have came up with a much better direction than making her crazy. And now I really don't like the direction for Andre either. But I guess that's what you can expect when you have a writer who's mid-70s, in her mid-70s, age-wise. Dani went to see Naomi, filling in Bill's office today, making sure she's doing all right with taking on more work. Naomi says that some people are upset that she is helping out at Bill's office, like Tomas. Dani and Naomi bicker about Tomas and how he could be family if he and Kat get married. Naomi said that, which made Dani crack up, saying that won't be happening after seeing the proposal from Tomas to Kat. They talk about Dani being so loyal to Bill at the hospital and calling Bill her husband again. Dani says not to worry to Naomi. She's not going to fall back into Bill's orbit, but she's already in that orbit. Then Dani went home and realized that Andre wasn't home. Tomas was visiting Bill at the hospital in his room today, bringing him work stuff. Tomas saying that things are fine. He's getting along fine with Naomi, which Bill wasn't so sure that was true. Vernon ended up interrupting them coming into the room. Vernon and Bill discussed Haley and Dani and how Bill already told him he regrets leaving his daughter Dani. So Vernon asked Bill if he's trying to rekindle something with Dani. Bill says Vernon must not have much faith in Andre to keep Dani's attention, and Vernon said that Bill didn't answer the question, so Bill has to say that he is not trying to break up Dani's marriage and that Dani is not looking for another round with him anyway. I still think Vernon had his doubts. I'm happy that Vernon confronted Bill about this, because Vernon and Anita already confronted Dani, unlike Andre, who still does need to confront Dani about this, but now Andre has his own shit going on. Naomi and Tomas did have another work disagreement. I fast forwarded most of it. It was about Bill. Naomi wants to be in the loop if Tomas is, I guess, going over a case with Bill or bringing Bill case information. I don't know. Like I said, I fast forwarded. But Tomas doesn't know if he feels comfortable doing that, bringing Naomi information without Bill's approval. Kent and Chelsea talked about starting a Nikki bag, since I guess some competitor already has a Nicole bag, so they can't name it after Nicole. They're going to name it Nikki, which Anita did not like that because Nicole doesn't like nicknames, especially a nickname made by Leslie. But Chelsea and Kat talked about how they were trying to flip a bad name so that Nicole could start to like the name Nikki. Again, something else that was totally fast forward material today. They talked about Kat and Eva and if their feelings are evolving, if they're like getting along better. And then Chelsea went to go visit Bill, and they discussed a little bit about Haley, with Chelsea learning that Bill and Haley have made a decision to not have kids. Chelsea also learning that Bill already discussed this with Dani, which Chelsea found odd that Bill's discussing this with his ex. And then Isaiah and Jacob talked today. They were talking at first about how Darlene, their mother, had to coach Caroline through the CPR to save Bill's life. Then later, Jacob found Andre drinking at the bar. I didn't take any other notes on what Isaiah and Jacob talked about because I probably fast-forwarded. Like I said, this was my heaviest fast-forward episode ever. This show needs to get more interesting. But yeah, Jacob later found Andre drinking pretty heavily, wanting to make sure Andre was okay. They had a conversation. Jacob thinking that Andre is drinking because of how Dani was in Bill's hospital room and that whole situation. Jacob tries to talk to Andre about how this is just what Bill and Dani do with their nonsense. Every so often they find their way back to each other. They come together when something big or bad happens. Andre said he trusts his wife, and Jacob is saying that he's not saying he shouldn't trust Dani, but was just trying to give Andre a pep talk. Of course, Grayson was there. That is our resident bartender. Anytime someone is drinking now, that's when we're going to see Grayson, I guess. But then Jacob left and Andre kept on drinking. Jacob went home to Naomi to talk about how Andre was throwing back drinks, and Naomi is saying that's not good. Naomi's hoping that when Bill recovers, everything will go back to normal between Dani and Andre. But Andre's drinking at the bar at Uptown, having flashbacks to talking to some older guy with an accent about Heather. This is in the past, obviously. The guy says that Heather is the reason that he packed up his work on the force and left, because Heather is top of the food chain criminal in Europe. You know, she's lethal. This is everything we've been building Heather up as, allegedly. He wanted to know how Andre knew Heather. I guess Andre and Heather hooked up at one of Andre's fashion jobs. The guy told Andre to cut ties with this woman completely, warns Andre that Heather will kill him and eat her corpse for breakfast. Everyone just talking like Heather is the most dangerous person out there. I'll believe it when I see it. Heather's going to have to be responsible for someone dying. Fingers crossed it's Tomas for some reason, or Ashley, or Vanessa. I mean, there are plenty of options out there. But Dani later ends up at the bar to see Andre drinking. I guess Ashley called her because Grayson tipped off Ashley that Andre was going to need a ride home. And then Dani took Andre home. And that was kind of the meat of today's episode. There was a conversation between Isaiah and Kat that I also did not listen to too hard. It was about the Nikki bag, how Isaiah wants to get it for Eva. Once Kat found out it was for Eva, she said it's going to be a very limited drop. That was it. That was our Monday. We are off to a slow start. I don't know if this week is going to get better. Last week at least had some drama. But the preview for this week, it looks like we are back in a stall. But it feels like this show is in a constant state of stalling.